Hello everyone and welcome to episode 8 of Tahari Talks. I'm so glad that you're here. In this episode, we will be talking about discipline. For some people, that's a 4-letter word, but for others, that's a word that gets them excited. And hopefully, by the end of this video, you're more so on the team of the latter half and you feel better about discipline as a whole. Right now in our culture, discipline is a buzzword. There are a bunch of videos around it. There are two main elements that I'm seeing missing on the consumer end and on the receiver end of the content in my POV. And y'all know I always want to talk about the psychology of the mind, the root of the issue, the source of the problem. A lot of people are talking about discipline and that we all want it and how to get it and even giving steps, but they're not talking about why you lack it and why you don't have it. So that's where Tahari Talks enters the chat. We are going to peel back the layers as to why you lack discipline as of right now, and then from there we'll be talking about tangible ways that you can establish discipline as early as right now into your life and consistently build on that to become disciplined as a whole. So y'all know I'm normally good for a numerical list, but we're just gonna have a conversation today. I just want to vibe. As y'all can see, there is a slight difference in my setup. I wanted to pan the camera out some and get more of a chill vibe going. And y'all see we got our sign going on. Like, Tahari Talks is evolving with every episode and I hope you are enjoying the changes. If so, give this video a big thumbs up and don't forget to hit that subscribe button before we go any further. If you've been enjoying this channel and this series, go ahead and stay for a while. Go ahead and commit. Go ahead and join the game. So let's talk about the reasons why you're not disciplined. First of all, the number one reason why most people lack discipline is because they allow their feelings to control how they move. And in order to be disciplined, in order to acquire discipline, and in order to have it as a part of your permanent lifestyle, you cannot move based on how you feel. We've talked about this in previous Tahari Talks episodes, and the fact of the matter is that feelings are valid, but feelings are not facts. But so many people allow their feelings to be the driving force for how they spend their day, for their habits, and your habits eventually map out what in turn turns out to be your entire life. You wake up in the morning and you don't feel like working out. You wake up in the morning and you don't feel like putting yourself together. You're going throughout your day and you don't feel like going the extra mile. You finish your day and you're spent, so you don't feel like pouring that extra time into your spirit by reading your Bible or praying, or you don't feel like reading that chapter of that book that you know will help you expand your business or expand your mind or acquire a new skill. You don't feel like pouring into your business after you spent all day pouring into somebody else's dream, although you know that you need to do those steps in order to get to your dream life. And the only thing standing between you of today and the you of your dream life in the future is discipline. Discipline is the missing piece. A lot of times God allows us to see glimpses of ourselves in the future or at our pinnacle or living out his ultimate will for our lives. And we're able to see our destination, but we don't necessarily get the steps on how to get there. And that's where discipline has to meet us so that we can take the necessary steps to get to that pinnacle point. You at your highest self does not exist without discipline. No matter what qualities he or she has, discipline has to be part of the equation in order to produce that ultimate self. Think about 3 people that you look up to, 3 of the people that you see as your mentors, 3 of the people that you see as your role models. All 3 of those people, I can bet 10 times out of 10 have an established level of discipline in their lives that has allowed them to get to the point that they're at, which is the reason why you emulate them. That role model that you look up to might be a basketball player or an athlete of some sort. They probably do not feel like conditioning every day. They don't feel like practicing all the time. They don't even feel like game day half the time, but they show up and do it because they've established discipline in their life. Your favorite role model might be an artist. They don't feel like rehearsing at all times. They don't feel like taking up the diet that they have to make sure that their body stays up to par and that their vocal cords stay healthy. They don't feel like showing up and doing tours in 100 cities, but they do it because they know that in order for me to live out this career and walk out my purpose in this lifetime, I have to establish this level of discipline that will allow me to show up and be my best self despite how I may be feeling. Do not be the person that allows your feelings to keep you stuck in places that you know are not serving you. Another reason why you do not have discipline in your life is because you are too comfortable breaking promises that you make to yourself. In the beginning of this year, you said that you would accomplish this list of things. You made that vision board. You made it look really pretty. You put all of the things that you said that you were going to do on that board. Here we are almost halfway through the year, and a lot of us have not accomplished anything on that to-do list, on that goals list, or on that vision board. And And the missing piece is discipline. You know what you need to do to get to those goals. You know what you need to do to get healthier. You know what you need to do to buy the house. You know the steps that you need to take to embark on the move to the new city or to the new state or to the new place or out of your parents' home. But you haven't done the things because you're using excuses, you're being lazy, and there's no discipline involved. A lot of times the reasons why we're not accomplishing goals is not because we don't know how to get there or we don't know the things to do. Is literally the fact that we are not disciplined enough to put aside what we want and how we feel for what we have to do long enough to bring results. And most of the time, the things that we want are not going to be produced overnight. There's no microwave, cookie cutter, shortcut way to go about it. You have to be disciplined. You have to put your head down. You have to do what you have to do to get where you need to be. This is probably the biggest thing that has helped me. I'm not even going to say probably, this is the game changer that helped me to become a disciplined person. This is the mindset that I was able to shift the most in becoming disciplined and establishing discipline into my everyday life as a consistent factor. And that is, right now, as a person without discipline, you're seeing the things that you have to do for everybody else as mandatory and viewing the things that you have to do for yourself as optional. You are seeing the things that you have to do for others as mandatory and the things that you have to do for yourself as optional. You take care of those kids, you take care of that man or that woman, you take care of that job, you go to work, you taking care of that church's business, you taking care of that organization's, that nonprofit's business. You're doing all these things that you feel like you have to do, but then you're too burned out to do the things that you know that would make you a better you. Taking care of you, your self-care, working out, eating healthier, meal prepping, going shopping for that new wardrobe so that you're not wearing the same stuff from high school with the holes in it. You literally get up and go to the job that you don't like but that pays the bills and takes care of the responsibilities. Sit in that morning traffic. Go sit around people you don't like all day because it's the thing that you feel like you have to do. But then you get off and it's time to pour into your business and into your dream or into yourself or into your soul or into your mind, whatever that looks like for you. You're seeing the things that you have to do for everybody else around you as mandatory and the things that you need to do for yourself as optional. I became disciplined when I shifted that mindset. The things that I need to do to make sure that I'm good are mandatory. They're no longer optional. My self-care is no longer optional. It's mandatory. I might have to be flexible in how I get it and how I go about it, but it's mandatory. Me structuring my household in a way that we have groceries in our house every week because I am planning our meals and I'm planning our grocery list is no longer something that I try to do or that I may do. I see it as mandatory, so it gets done. And it's no longer the thing that I'm sitting back saying, oh, I wish I was that way, or I wish I was that organized, or I wish I was that consistent with cooking and making sure that we weren't eating out every day of the week. No, I now am a person that does that because I don't see it as optional anymore. And the biggest one for me, I'll say it was a couple of months ago now, I was on my home elliptical. It was like God was downloading onto me as I was doing the steps, and it was like to the beat of the elliptical. And basically what he said to me is, fitness is not an option. It's mandatory for where I'm taking you and where you're going. And so I just kept repeating it like a mantra to a beat in my head. Fitness is not an option. It's mandatory for where I'm taking you and where you're going. Literally, like on repeat. And that is what I hear when I wake up in the morning. There are times now where I get up, or in the middle of the day where I have to stop and get it in while my kids are napping, that I don't want to do it. But because I no longer see it as something that I may do or that I want to do or that I would like to do and that I have to do in order to operate in my highest self moving forward and into these next seasons and for the rest of my life, it's non-negotiable. Ooh, we're going to talk about flexibility and making sure that you remain disciplined too a little later. So we'll get into that, and I'll reuse fitness as an example for that as well. But I say all of that to say, the moment that you see things that you have to do to remain disciplined as mandatory, your life will change. And so now you decide, do I want to sit around and be the person that says, oh, I wish I could. Oh, I love the way they do that. We're all given the same 24 hours. They just decided that these things are the things that they will prioritize and value in a way that is non-negotiable, so it has to happen. Nobody's highest version of themselves is one that breaks promises to themselves, that is lazy or procrastinates. Those are the habits that you are going to have to push through and break through in order to become disciplined and arrive at your highest self. Granted, we all have days, we all have weeks, we all have periods where we need to reset, recharge, or we may have life happen to us, or we're grieving, or we're going through traumatic experiences where we have to pull back and we cannot operate in the ways that we're most proud of. However, in the grand scheme of things, when you take a pledge of discipline on your life, your everyday is going to look a little different. Your mindset is going to look a lot different, and your habits are going to look a lot different. And when those three things change, your life ultimately has to change. There's no way your life can stay the same if your mindset is different. There's no way your life can stay the same if your habits are different. There's no way that your life can stay the same if your everyday looks different and you're doing the things that are making you into the person that you want to be and that you're turning into and evolving into. Your why is not a mystery. Why you want to get in shape is not a mystery. Why you want to acquire this new skill is not a mystery. Why you want to prioritize self-care and therapy is not a mystery. You want to do these things so that you're better. You want to acquire new skills so that you can elevate in your career. You want to go back to school so that you can make a pivot in your life and give yourself and your family a better life. The why is never really the mystery. The how isn't even the mystery, because we know, all right, if I want to get this new skill, then I need to study the new skill. If I want to further my education, then I need to apply and enroll in school, and I need to study, and I need to make good grades, and I need to understand the concepts that are being taught to me. We know what we need to do. It's simply a matter of, am I going to be consistent and being disciplined enough to do these small steps every single day to get to where I need to be? Or am I not? And so before we move into the hows of discipline and how to acquire discipline in your everyday life, I want to bring up this illustration. There are two separate sides of the coin. I saw this on socials, where consistency is somebody that's making little steps on each rung of their ladder. And because they're consistent, they're small. It's every day, but they're climbing in small doses, but they're climbing. And then on the other side of that, you have the person that's taking a step and then they decide, hey, I'm cool on it. I don't really want to go towards my goals today, or I don't really have time for it. I don't really have the capacity for it. So it's cool. I'll try again next week. And then next week they come back. But it's a big step. It's harder to do it because they haven't done it in a while. It's harder to get to that next level because their strength ain't really there. It's been a minute since they did it. It's harder to do. So discipline is the difference in the ladders. Do you want those small consistent steps that are getting you to where you need to be at a steady pace? Or do you want it to be harder because you're not showing up for yourself every day? So now let's talk about ways to establish discipline in your life in doses. And these are things that you could start immediately, that will cost you little to nothing, and that are universal for pretty much anybody to do. The first suggestion is to do a challenge. For me, I knew that discipline was a missing factor at the end of last year. In fall of 2023, I really put my head down and was like, all right, you have a lot that you're trying to do. You have a lot that you have to do. And in order for us to be able to live a well-rounded life and not drive myself crazy and not be bald with no edges by the time I'm 40, baby, some discipline is gonna have to get in play around here. And I met a girl, I'll never forget her. We have the same name, and we sat across the table from each other at a family function, and her words to me were, oh, I'm very disciplined. And I knew at that moment I wanted to be somebody that could say that with confidence, not a blank 10 toes. I'm disciplined, baby. And so that same month, and I had already decided, but it was just confirmation that I needed to do what I had started. And that was my discipline and wellness challenge. You can make up your own challenge. You can follow a person's challenge. You and your friends can make it up if y'all want to be accountability partners. But do a challenge that will help you commit to doing one thing every day. It could be the same thing. I know a lot of people like the 75 hard, but I say start small. 30 days, 1 month challenge. I'll put mine here. This is the challenge that I did. I made it up. I found it on Pinterest. And then I plugged in things that were more suitable to my life. You can do the same thing. Oh no, I found it on Canva actually. But come up with a challenge. Commit yourself to doing something every day that you know will make you better. 15 minutes outside. And make it small. Make it achievable. They say that goals have to be very realistic. They have to be timely. They have to be achievable. Be realistic in the goals that you're setting. Do something different every day and commit yourself to it. And even if you finish half of the challenge successfully, then that's a step further than you were before you started it. And even better if you finish more than that. But start with a challenge, and that will kind of help you see, okay, what are the habits that I want to establish daily in my life that'll make me better. Another good technique in establishing discipline in your life is establish it slowly, one thing at a time. All right, this week I'm gonna start reading more, and then the next week I'll start reading more and going to bed a little earlier. Then the next week I might start eating more vegetables throughout the week, reading a book, and going to bed earlier. Don't try to do 5 new things at one time, because you'll set yourself up for failure every time. And discipline doesn't even necessarily have to be things that you're doing. It can be, let me think more positively about myself every day. Let me say something more positive about myself every day. Every time I have a negative thought, let me try to challenge it with something that's positive. Even if I don't believe what I'm saying initially, let me challenge myself to think in more healthy ways. Another thing that's key in establishing discipline in your life is your mental diet. My pastor, who's also my uncle, has been preaching to us in our church about your mental diet. And your mental diet is basically the things that you're allowing into your ear gaze, your eye gaze. What are you listening to? What are you watching? What are you digesting on social media throughout the day? What are you reading? What are the things that are going into your mental space throughout the day? And if it's not anything that is contributing to making you better, get rid of it. Unfollow the pages that drain you. Take a step back from the news outlets that are always feeding negativity. Yes, they inform, but if you need to pull back, pull back. Mute the group chats that are always talking about other people and never talking about new ideas or how to elevate. Remove yourself from it. Block some people. Change your mental diet and the things that you are taking in so that you can focus on the things that will make you better and the things that will point you in the direction of where you're trying to go. The next technique that you can acquire in establishing discipline into your life ASAP is a theory that I picked up in the book Atomic Habits. If you haven't checked that book out, go ahead and get yours ASAP. It is so good in helping you to establish discipline. And one of the theories in that book is called habit stacking. And that's basically when you use your time to do more than one thing at the same time in order to get more done and be more successful in your life changes. So for me, for example, a lot of times when I'm doing my cardio, I might be on the treadmill, but at the same time that I'm on the treadmill, I'm also listening to a podcast or a sermon or a positive video that speaks to my soul or that speaks to something new that I want to learn. And that's habit stacking. You may be cleaning, but you're listening to a podcast. You may be driving to work, something that you have to do, but you're listening to something that's going to make you better, or you're listening to an audiobook. Stacking those habits to make sure that you're using your time most effectively and accelerating your growth. Another thing that's really useful to do in establishing discipline into your life is taking a real deep dive and thinking about your future. Time moves like it's nothing. It seems like the year just started, and like I said at the beginning of the video, we're almost halfway through the year. The time is going to pass anyway. What do you want your future to look like? Do you want the time to pass and you have something to say for it or show for it? I.e., I did this challenge, I've gained this amount of muscle, I've learned this new skill, I've established better boundaries because I went to therapy and I grew as a result. What do you want that time to look like when you look back and say, all right, 6 months have passed. What did I do that made me different than the months before that? How did you grow internally? How have you changed externally? And asking yourself those questions will help you to establish the goals and then help you to establish the discipline that it takes to meet those goals. That's one thing that I had to do. And sometimes it's good, especially if you wear a lot of hats, to break it down into different disciplines. What do I want to do for myself that will make me better? What do I want to do as far as my career that will make me better? What do I want to do as far as my home? What are the things that I want to change? What about my marriage? What about motherhood or parenthood? What are the ways that I want to continue to evolve? And do those constant check-ins to make sure that you're not just going day to day, month to month, year to year, and you're not taking inventory of the ways in which you would like to continue to evolve. Next, you have to remove distractions. If you know every single time you lay down, you're going to be up for a whole nother 30 minutes because that charger is too close to the bed and your phone is right there, and you're going to get lost into a black hole on TikTok, into the 100 episodes of Who Did I Marry, or into the black hole of the conspiracy theories, then you need to move that charger to the middle of the room and put that phone on the other side so that it's no longer a distraction. Where are the distractions? Where do they lie? And how can you remove them so that your environment is set up for you to win? You literally have to set your mornings, set your environment up for you to win and be successful in establishing discipline and accomplishing your goals. And jumping right on the back of that, another thing that you have to do is set yourself up for success. Don't wait for somebody else to do it for you. Set yourself up. Set your environment up. Reduce your decision fatigue. If you know you want to go to the gym in the morning, lay out every little thing that you have to put on, from the underwear to the socks to the sneakers to the waistband to the gel you're going to put on, the headband you're going to wear, the jacket you're going to wear, the bag that you need to pack. Go ahead and pack it. Have everything laid out so there's no excuse. There's less for you to decide on in the morning. There's less for you to think about. If you know that you want to start dressing better whenever you go to school or whenever you go to work, lay the clothes out, iron them, steam them, try it on so there's no excuse. You know exactly how you're going to look, exactly how you want to feel, and it's already done for you. A lot of times, by the time we finish making all the decisions attached to the thing that we're trying to do, we're wiped out, we're burned out already, and we no longer want to do the thing. Set yourself and your environment up for your own success. You know you want to get up earlier, set the alarm. Set 5 of them if you have to. You know you want to go to the gym, get one close by. You know you want to meal prep, go grocery shopping, order the groceries, write out the meals that you want to do. You know you want to start journaling, get the journal, put it in somewhere that you're going to have to see and be near every day. Put the pen out. Literally set your environment up so that it's less to think about and more opportunity for you to do what you need to do. Jumping back into the mental diet piece, instead of listening to the things and assuming the things that you know no longer serve you or do not serve where you're trying to go. Listen to the people who are successful in the areas that you want to be successful in. Study these people. Of course, be you at the end of the day, but what are the people in the circles that you're trying to arrive to? What are they doing? How do they speak? Are they sharing how they got to where they are? Listen to the things that they're saying and read between the lines for what they're not saying, and study those as blueprints for getting to where you're trying to go. If you want a budget, structure it out according to your income and make sure that it's realistic so that you're not setting yourself up for failure and knowing that you're trying to save half of what you bring in and you have these other bills and obligations to take care of. Set yourself up to succeed in what you're trying to do. You want to read more books. How will you get there? How many pages are you going to read per day? Are you reading something that's not going to put you to sleep? The next one is huge. You need to get very clear on your boundaries. Stop overextending yourself when you know that you set this 30 minutes to an hour to 2 hours aside at 6 o'clock for you to write out your business plan or for you to work on your business. That means that that's what that time is for. You can't be on the phone with the homegirl that's telling you about the same man problems that she's been telling you about for the past 6 months. You can't be down the street helping the neighbor to move what she needs to move because that's the time that you already set up for yourself. And that also goes back to seeing the things that you're doing for you as negotiable. If you've set that time aside for yourself to do that thing, that's just what it is. That will also keep you out of the loop of feeling burned out and pouring into everybody else and then having nothing left for yourself at the end of the day. Because as a caregiver, as a mother, as a wife, as a professional, we all know what that feels like to literally give to everybody. And by the time you look at yourself in the mirror to try and give yourself that pep talk for what you know you have to do for you, you looking right back like, Miss Girl, we know. Let's lay down and try again tomorrow or the next day because there's no way. Another thing that is important in discipline, because a lot of times people can hear the word discipline and think of something that's very rigid, something that does not have any give. But sometimes discipline looks like your flexibility at the very same time. You may have certain seasons where you have to care for others in your life a little more than previous seasons. For example, in my case, I have 2 very small children. And so although I want to be fit and I want to prioritize fitness, I'm not at a point in my life, especially as a stay-at-home mom, where I can go to the gym every day. So right now, my discipline looks like me showing up for myself in my loft, working out with the weights, working out with videos, working out with my Amazon elliptical, and that's enough. And another thing that you have to be confident in is knowing that the traits that you establish, the discipline that you establish, will carry you into seasons that look differently. Right now, my discipline looks like me getting up and showing up in the loft, but eventually when my children are more independent and they're in school full time, that will look like me being able to show up to a gym because I've already established the discipline to show up for myself every day. You don't have to wait until it looks like the perfect scenario. Sometimes my discipline in moving my body looks like me walking around for 30 minutes outside while my daughter's in dance class. It's not ideal. It's not what I would like to be doing. It's not me being at the gym in the sauna, but I'm moving my body and using what I have to get where I want to be and still be able to say that I showed up for myself and I'm disciplined in doing so. Grandma needs a ride to the doctor, but you need to read also. Sit in that car and read that book. Grandma needs a ride to the doctor and you got to work out, baby. You better be in that parking lot doing your squats and lunges until she gets out of the appointment. Be flexible in what you need. It's not always going to look exactly how you want it to, but you can use what you have to get where you need to be. And like I said in the last episode of Tahari Talks, you always, no matter what the situation looks like, you have exactly what you need. Every little thing that you need to accomplish what you want to in that moment. It may not be ideal. It may not be all you want. It may not look how you thought it would, but it's what you need. Before we end this video, I want to share a quote that I felt like really tied into today's topic of Tahari Talks, and hopefully it resonates with you. It says, instead of creating a life around what I want to do daily in terms of habits, hobbies, and experiences, I'm at a space of creating a life around what I want to feel daily. Love, peace, minimal stress, inspiration, etc. And letting things fall into alignment from there. And you might hear that and say, Brie, you just told us not to move based on how we feel. And that's very correct. I don't want you to move based on how you feel right now, but I want you to move based on the life that you want to create and the feelings that you want associated with those end results. You want to feel fit and strong, then right now you have to move past the I'm tired and work out. You want to feel like you're the top in your field, then right now you have to move past I don't feel like I'm good enough and sign up for that course even though you don't feel like you belong in that room. You know that you want to feel peace in your life every single day, then you have to move past the feelings of I will never be enough for another person and in the toxic relationship so that you can move on to better. You know that you eventually want to feel minimal stress. So you got to move past today's feeling of I don't feel like decluttering my space so that you're not as stressed out as you are living in clutter. It literally becomes a question of what do I want to feel in the future and what do I feel right now that I have to move past so that I can be more disciplined and achieve those feelings. Part of me feels like this video was a little bit here and there because I did not do my normal tiered list, but I do feel like it was a cohesive conversation that can definitely be beneficial to anybody who is trying to establish discipline in their lives. If you agree and you were able to take something from it, go ahead and leave me some love in the comments below. Tahari Talks is a brand new baby, but she's growing and I see y'all watching. I saw that we had a viewer all the way from South Africa, so shout out to y'all. That means Tahari Talks is reaching the people that it needs to reach, and I'm so grateful for that. I know that this is a God thing, so I know that it is going to be fruitful and it's only a matter of time. So thank you for being here from the very beginning. As y'all know, I always want to give a quick word of prayer to send y'all off with, so we're going to get into that and then we're going to close this video on out. Bow your head, close your eyes. You know, don't be looking at me while we praying. God, I thank you for every single viewer that has tuned into this episode of Tahari Talks. Thank you for their life. Thank you for their mind. Thank you for the simple fact that they have the desire to be more disciplined in their life. Hence the reason why they came to this video to begin with. God, I ask that you continue to keep your hand over them. Allow them to have grace with themselves. Allow them to not be so hard on themselves, but to also be disciplined enough to establish consistency in their life, consistency in their routines, a pivot in their mindsets. Allow them to shed anything that is no longer serving them and is not welcome, to move on with them into their purpose era and into the places that you have destined for them. Give them the strength to push through the feelings that are holding them back from accomplishing the things that you have set them here to do. God, continue to remind them and show them signs that will confirm that you indeed have your hand over them and that the thing that you continue to download onto them is indeed just that. Give them confidence in the things that they are pursuing. Give them confidence in their goals. Give them strategy in figuring out the ways to go about reaching those goals, and continue to download the lessons of discipline that are needed, the things that they need to hear, the things that they need to see that will push them into their purpose and push them into the will that you have for their lives. I thank you for their life. I thank you for their viewership. I thank you for this time that we have spent together, and I ask you to continue to transform their mind, continue to transform their lives, and continue to keep them in your perfect peace. And it's in your name we do pray. Amen. As always, I do hope and pray that you were able to take something from this Tahari Talk. If so, give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to hit subscribe and share this video with a friend or somebody that you know will benefit from it. Most of all, this time was great. You and I both know you watched the video because you need to establish discipline in your life, but do something with the information that was shared. Don't just listen to it and then turn it off and go do the same old thing. Apply at least one of the methods that was shared in this video to your life this week. Don't continue waiting. Don't continue playing in God's face and not using the gifts that he gave you to do what you know he called you to do. Playing small is canceled. Playing small is dead, and we are going for everything that God has for us in 2024. It's almost halfway done. Don't be a victim of letting the year pass you by and getting to the end and not having discipline and results in your life. It won't be long until we're back for episode 9 of Tahari Talks, and I will see you all then. In the meantime, take care of yourself, and I can't wait to see you soon. Later. And that's a wrap. Another episode. We ready? Another episode. Hey.